IVM.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. But you are listening to episode 22 of the Fighting G.O.A.T, where your host and those mystic chips, aka Arjun Chipalkatti, and your friend Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra, are going to run you through an exciting episode. Chips, 22 episodes. Dude, how has it been?
Right. Damn right. It's been an awesome ride so far. We have recapped off our 21st episode with the notorious, the nasty Pratik Babbar, which was great fun. And
who's posting a lot of stuff? He's posting a lot of stuff of his smiles and stuff nowadays.
I saw some commercial on TV, and now his voice is imprinted in my head. So maybe I'm hearing Pratik Babbar everywhere, but I think I heard him in a car commercial. And our producer today yelled at us saying that we've been talking over each other, so we should try to keep it quiet.
Yeah, we should just keep it a little quiet. It's okay.
Well,
that's not going to be a possibility because you are one half of the Fighting G.O.A.T, and we need to hear you. We love your voice. The fans, the viewers are craving for it. But
also, I can't shut up. That's also a big problem.
Well, also you start drinking in the afternoon, so...
Yeah, not today. I have a meeting in the evening, so otherwise I would have been ready, boss. My liquor store knows. Like, Sarka Kota Chalu.
Well, lockdown or no lockdown, we are enjoying ourselves on the Fighting G.O.A.T, produced exclusively by IVM Podcasts.com. Do go check them out, all platforms. There's a lot of exciting content here. But obviously, we're the best. Anyways, let's speak on the week that was. Chips, what a great event. It was at 4:30 in the morning. We had to wake up. It was a great show. But man...
Next week is 3:30. These are ungodly hours.
No, so you know what? I personally feel that UFC have an Indian sponsor in Patanjali. So they always preach about the fact that you must wake up in the morning, do yoga, have fun, and all those things. So hopefully Patanjali's on board with the UFC.
I have no comments on that subject. But anyway, coming back to the week that was, before we get into the UFC fight night at the Apex card, just wanted to highlight, there's been a couple of things happening. The BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, hosted Rachel Ostovich versus Paige Van Zandt, and it was awesome. Go watch Bare Knuckle Fighting. It's one of the most brutal forms of fighting. It's horrendous. The pain is there. And these two gorgeous women threw down in the middle. We just showed, and what warriors do.
Man, seriously, there's some new level of enthusiasm, or there's something in that organization where people just get bloody, and it's gone back to the 1920s when on each of these streets, on the terrace of each building, there used to be like 6 guys just going at it versus each other. It's like this back road brawling.
Where guys it's funny that you talk about the 1920s, where guys like Max Baer made his, Max Baer was the champion, but before he did, he used to get into brawls where he used to turn each other's face into hamburger meat.
Right.
With bare knuckle boxing. And you see this in BKFC. And the funny thing is, nobody's complaining. Nobody's making a noise about it. And they're all loving it, even the fighters. So clearly they must be getting something right. They're all getting paid well enough to be doing this.
Absolutely, yes. In fact, when we speak of bare knuckle, the first 2 names that come to our mind are obviously Jorge Masvidal, who started his career.
Oh God,
with these garden brawls, and obviously
Kimbo Slice,
the late Kimbo Slice. The chap who made this famous, the chap who was involved, who was a wildcard entry in TUF. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I remember. And then Rampage Jackson screaming, I want Kimbo.
Oh man, such good times. But I feel the entire circle is coming back. BKFC is an organized back road brawling organization, and it's got such beautiful fighters out there.
It's got some big names, man. Gabriel Gonzaga. Yeah. It's got
Bigfoot Silva.
It's got exactly, Antonio Bigfoot Silva. It's got
Artem
some
Lobov.
Former champions, Artem Lobov, Paulie Malignaggi, all these guys are there. Paulie may not be fighting anymore. I'm not sure.
Right.
But you know what? I spoke to Paulie, though we might be getting him on as a guest. On the Fighting G.O.A.T. So let's fingers crossed. Let's see. That might happen soon.
That's a big revelation. But before you guys can even get there, you guys need to tag us, get in touch with us, take part in the contest, and guys, win some exciting prizes. But Chips, moving straight on to the money. What happened in the UFC 4:30 AM card? TJ Dillashaw and Corey Sandhagen. What just happened?
I had to see that fight twice because the first time we see it, it's early in the morning, and I'd just come back from my mom's birthday party. And
happy birthday, auntie! Sorry, belated happy birthday, auntie.
Thank you. I'm sure my mom is listening. I really hope she is. Yeah.
Well,
from the family.
Well, out of the 14,000, 15,000 listens, one has to be a mom. I'm very sure about that.
I hope so, man. No, but coming back to that entire fight, I mean, it capped off a great fight card,
Right.
And it was a funny fight because TJ Dillashaw had a layoff about, I think, 3 years now.
Yeah,
he was busted for steroids.
Yeah.
And then he served his suspension. They were supposed to fight a couple of months earlier, but he got injured.
Right.
He pulled out of that fight and he came in and it's so funny, we keep talking about, how fast the sport is evolving.
Right.
And you can see that. Corey Sandhagen is new blood. He is a very evolved, very big bantamweight.
Right.
And in the top 5 in that division. And then you see him against a former champion in TJ Dillashaw.
Correct.
The man who dethroned the long-time reigning bantamweight champion, Henan Barao.
Correct.
The man who beat Dominic Cruz. Went to wars with Cody Garbrandt.
Cody Garbrandt, yeah.
And I would just say we saw an exhibition of championship experience.
Man, seriously. So many of these people, in fact, wrote to me on Instagram saying, Sandhagen's going to do this, Sandhagen's going to do that. I myself chose Sandhagen above Dillashaw.
Yeah, oh, yeah, sorry, hang on. The Team Chips is leading.
Yeah. But still, you know what? When we suddenly speak about championship experience, when we speak about the veterans, it's a 29-year-old rising star who has knocked out guys like Frankie Edgar. Facing someone who's been out for almost 3 years, but still the championship experience counts. The mindset counts. He came back and he won a split decision. If I were to put an absolute perfect Sandhagen versus an absolute perfect TJ Dillashaw, I think TJ would have smashed the living guts out of this guy.
It's so funny. It's that first round was a back and forth brawl. It could have easily been a draw.
Correct.
The second round, Sandhagen blasted him. He cut him over the eye. His blood was bleeding into his eye. He got kneed a couple of times. He was in trouble, and Sandhagen turned it on. But after that, that's where that's where champions are made.
Yes.
And TJ comes from that cut. Say what you want about him, his past, his drug abuse, whatever. But you can't inject. You can't have fake championship level.
Exactly.
You cannot. And you saw that today. The way he mixed up his takedowns. I mean, I got to give props to Sandhagen. It was such a close fight, man. I mean, so close. If you look at the entire fight stats, that fight was razor thin. But I know why they gave it to the former champ, because people disregard this so much. Octagon control and moving forward are such big factors.
Exactly. Once you're moving forward, it shows a level of aggression, and the referees, the judges, they always see that. They always see that. And that's where, that's exactly where mindset comes into the picture, because on how to play the game even if you're losing.
Exactly. Exactly the point. And we saw, after the first 3 rounds, I would say, it was 2-1 Corey, but in the third and fourth,
man, he tuned it up.
Third and fourth, TJ took it, just raised the level. And I think that's where, the difference we saw. The level of kicks went up.
Yes.
He started breaking him down. And he ate a lot of shots, but you could see that. And you know what? Sandhagen is going to come back better.
Yeah.
He's already so good. He already is on a split decision with the champ. I would love to see them run it back again.
Well, I do not think that would happen. However,
not immediately.
This was such a beautiful fight. But, 29-year-old Sandhagen would have definitely learned from this. Yes, he came in very confident. He possibly was trying for a championship fight at the end of the year after he beat TJ.
Yeah.
But man, all those plans are derailed as of now, because TJ Dillashaw has shown the world why he's championship material.
He is. And I think he would actually present a really tough fight to the winner of Aljo and Yan.
He would. You mean Peter Yan?
I think it'd be a great fight with Peter Yan, because the thing is that Sandhagen looks huge for that division.
Right.
He's huge.
Right.
He's so lanky, he looks like the John Jones of that division, man.
Right.
But the funny thing is the way Dillashaw cut in, he came in through, man. He may not have landed everything clean on Sandhagen because of Sandhagen's lateral movement.
Right.
But it was such a good fight overall, and TJ still has it.
Absolutely.
He still got it.
Absolutely. He's 35 years old. But at the same time, I think he has all the skills to make one more run at that championship belt. But speaking of which, the first fight of the night, the 4:30 a.m. fight, was an absolute banger between Adrian Yanez and Randy Costa.
Dude, Costa Yanez was insane. I mean, you want to see a jab that works, you go to Costa.
Man, seriously.
That jab was there all night.
Seriously, it was such a beautiful fight. And the first round itself, we saw how troubled Yanez was.
We saw that he got tagged quite a bit with that jab. Man. And you know, people, if you go back and see who had great jabs, I mean, you look at Alexander Gustafsson versus his title fight versus Jones.
Wow.
That jab came in handy. GSP Koscheck, that jab came in handy.
Well, GSP Bisping, he in fact had that Superman jab that actually dropped him.
He slips forward with that. And he gets that little extra punch to it where you can drop guys. He dropped Jake Shields with one of those.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But man, that was such a good fight. I mean, Costa was doing everything perfectly till round 2.
I think he also gassed. It was also a function of Yanez weathering the storm.
Right.
And he once he saw Costa slowing down, he brought up his own game.
Right.
He came in with his combinations and he dug to the body. Some of those body shots which take it out of you.
Right.
Brutal body shots. Even we saw it against Sandhagen and Dillashaw, but the only difference is Dillashaw can go 20 rounds.
Correct.
With body shots. Correct. Because of his conditioning. And Costa is from such a beautiful camp, and I was constantly hearing, what was happening in that corner. Like he's been in American Top Team, he's been in Sanford MMA, but he started his career with Joe Lawson. So Joe Lawson is the one that actually, he's the one that actually groomed Costa. And obviously, you move on to better camps and improve your game and stuff like that. But once you're from that camp, the BJJ is excellent, the striking is going to be great. But then, he had great guys with him. But man, that knockout just changed the ball game in round 2, and Yanez just... It was a good TKO though. It was a good TKO.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It in fact earned him the performance of the night.
Uppercut. Yeah, great fight. But it's so good to see the level of the sport being risen. What Daniel Cormier said. It's, and then to cap off the night, we saw such a great fight between Dillashaw and Sandhagen.
Yes.
And that's as good as it gets in terms of technical MMA. Like everything.
I have never regretted waking up at 4:30 a.m. However, having said that, the next card is 3:30 a.m. So
no, 3:30 a.m. you don't sleep only. You don't sleep. But it's a hell of a card. Strickland versus Raya Hall.
Oh man, wow.
Is a hell of a card.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, and you're gonna wait for that after the second commercial break. We're gonna come back and talk about it. But before we go into a break, Somesh, one of the greatest fighters in the world, Anderson Silva, made his boxing debut in an exhibition match. I think a month ago in Mexico.
Yeah,
where he won confidently, and he looked like the Silva of old. But there were reports out.
Yeah, let's take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath for this one.
That he's fighting YouTuber and Disney Kids channel star 24-year-old Logan Paul, brother of Jake Paul, who is facing Tyron Woodley next month. And this is the same Logan Paul who fought against Floyd Mayweather a month ago or 2 months ago.
Well, so yes, I completely understand the sentiment, and the kind of depression that we all are going through right now. When you hear of a name like Anderson Silva, who's technically the greatest of all time.
He's right up there.
He's the greatest of all time. But see, Chips, the thing is that I personally am beginning to believe that after people's careers are coming to a standstill in what they love doing, they're going for the money fights.
I hope so. I hope it's just the money.
And I don't think the Paul brothers, either of them, would pose any kind of threat to absolute legends like Anderson Silva. But
he's not going to touch the Spider. He's not going to touch the Spider.
Looking at his last performance, the Spider, I don't think Logan Paul is going to even touch Anderson Silva. But at the same time, it's a combat sport. You don't know where this heads. I just hope Anderson Silva is getting a great paycheck for this, because I thoroughly believe he deserves every single penny. The good part,
be making a good 10 million off this, I'm sure.
Easily.
Otherwise, he won't say yes.
Easily. Because boxing has the it has the sponsors behind it. It has a PPV. There's a good chance that Snoop Dogg would again be in the commentary box for this one.
Oh my God, that is the best. That is actually one of the main reasons.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe Mike Tyson as a guest commentator out there. You never know. You never know where this heads. But at the same time, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. I just hope, it's going to do justice to the name and the brand of Anderson Silva. The fans are obviously going to win out here because you're going to see a great spectacle. At the same time,
I'm going to watch it.
I just hope Anderson Silva gets his dues because it's high time he gets paid for what he does and paid handsomely.
Exactly.
So let's see where this heads.
I think the fight is going to be late night in India, so you and I will get together to watch it.
Absolutely.
For sure. We are watching Anderson Silva, no matter what.
Absolutely.
I'm not missing that fight.
Absolutely. I have no doubts about that.
And that being said, Mr. Kamra, we must move on to one of the most important subjects that we want to talk about. But we're going to come back to it after a quick commercial break. So stay tuned. You've been listening to The Fighting G.O.A.T with Mystic Chips and the Superhuman Kamra only on IVMPodcasts.com. Stay tuned.
Hey, everybody, let me tell you a little bit about what happened on the IVM Podcast Network this week. We've had some amazing stuff, right? I mean, I don't know if you're aware of the redoing or the rebranding of the Traveling Professors show. We called it now Smarter with Sid, which is our Deshmukh. This week, he examines Netflix getting into e-commerce and will this affect how Amazon's dominating the space? Also, let me give you another quick hits to join up on. So on Cider Says, Cyrus was joined by Olympic equestrian Imtiaz Anis, and Nishan Budla from the Triangle Offense podcast showed up on Thursday's Cock and Bull to talk about the NBA Finals. On Nankari, Sadaf and Archie were joined by Keshav Chaturvedi of the Tere Mere Raste podcast. On Storytellers and Storytellers, Vineet talked to Ashim Mathur from Dolby. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram to keep up with what's going on the network. And with that, let me also just finally thank our sponsors. They're what makes things possible. We'd like to thank CEAT, Cred, Global Victoria, Bank of Baroda, Intuit India, and Lenovo. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Fighting G.O.A.T, where Mystic Chips and Superhuman Kamra are going to discuss a very, very important aspect in MMA and combat sports, and that is fighter rankings.
It is the most controversial topic as well.
It is the most controversial topic, but the good part is on The Fighting G.O.A.T, we can talk freely about these aspects and topics without any backlash, or at least as we know, without any backlash. But
well, not yet, at least.
Not yet, at least. But yeah, the good part is that this podcast is about our views. We would love to hear from you guys, from all of you, be it fans, be it experts,
Absolutely.
be it whatever. So you can write into us, tag us, hashtag us, speak to us, and please join the conversation because that's exactly what we are here for. So Chips, rankings in MMA is something that has always been controversial. It is looked down upon. People don't agree to so many things that go on with this one topic called rankings. And the best part is the authorities don't even answer questions on rankings.
See, this is the funny thing, rankings, when did we start watching the sport? Early 2000s.
Yeah.
And we were, when you look at companies like Pride,
yeah,
I don't think Pride even had a ranking system. Everybody was a winner.
Yeah.
Everybody knew, the audience decided who they thought was the greatest. And that was the end of the day.
Correct.
Now, here's where things get muddled up.
So you're trying to say
understand.
So you're trying to say that Nate Diaz has still beaten Leon Edwards.
Yeah, for sure. Pride rules, I told you, dude. He won. He raised his hand as the loser and everybody cheered. That's the best thing. I feel bad for Leon who put on a clinic that night. But that's precisely my point. Because Leon Edwards in the welterweight division is easily top 3. Easily. Leon Edwards is easily top 5. Chalo. And Nate Diaz is a top 10. Is at the end of the top 10.
Yeah.
But you see, you can never count out a Nate Diaz. It can if you lose to a Nate Diaz, yes, it'll hurt you. For sure, you will drop down the rankings. But you win with a Nate Diaz, neither will it catapult you into a title shot. It won't do either.
Right.
So he's a dangerous fight. So this is the thing. When in ranking systems, usually what people think is that, okay, if you're a number 1, 2, 3, 4, a number 1, 2, 3, 4 has no business fighting 8, 9, 10, 11.
Correct.
Has no business fighting 8, 9, 10, 11. But here, now there are two schools of thought. Okay, please bear with me. I'm going to tell you both.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with the people who say that 1, 2, 3, 4 should not fight 8, 9, 10, 11.
Correct.
For sure. But at the same time, what stops a number 14 from being a top 5? It's also a function of not being able to face the right person at the right time.
Correct.
I would easily put Nate Diaz in a top 5 because of his tenacity, his ability to change the fight any given time.
Correct.
And his world-class ability.
Yes.
So I don't give a shit if he's ranked top 15 because I know he's top 5.
Right.
No matter what.
Right. And at the end of the day, it is combat sport. See, there is an element of luck. Sometimes there was a very unfortunate incident, where Chris Weidman was the betting favorite against Uriah Hall. But he broke his leg. And
that's a sad thing.
It changed the game. It changed the table completely. It just changed everything completely. So what you're trying to say, I feel makes absolute sense because rankings in most other sports go on the point system. But out here, you never know. Maybe a ranked number 14 could beat a ranked number 3. And it can happen.
But see, that's the thing. So it's, fighters use this. The problem starts when fighters use it as an excuse to not face somebody. Look at it. The entire argument began when Islam Makhachev, who was a number 9, has now come to a number 5 after beating a number 14.
Correct.
Thiago Moises. Now, that's fine. You can beat a lower ranked opponent if the thing is that Islam Makhachev is already a top 5 in everybody's mind.
Correct.
It's just a function of him not being able to get there because guys have been ducking him, giving the excuse saying he's number 9, I'm number 3.
Correct.
Why should I fight him? No, I'm not blaming anybody for that argument. That's cool. You want to think that's cool, man. You worked hard to get to your position.
Correct.
But the point is that a number 9 can easily beat a number 1 even.
Absolutely.
It's just being the fighter on that day. Chris Weidman, who came in from a number 10 ranking, dethroned the champion, and the guys at number 2 and 3 weren't able to do shit with Anderson Silva.
Exactly. And also, there's a very important point. See, when we speak of very, very organized sports, like say, soccer or say cricket, for that matter, there's always that point system. If you win a test match, you get these many points. If you win a one-day international, you get these many points.
How many is it? How many points is it if you win a test match?
I don't remember. But say, for example, it's say 10 points. But say, say an India beats an Australia, they get 10 points. Right. But if India beats a Bangladesh, they still get 10 points. So, for example, if India is number 3 and they beat Australia number 1, technically on paper, it should have a little bit more of value. So,
ideally, yes. It should.
I was so there is a revision coming in the point system where if you beat a higher ranked team, you technically should get more points. If you beat a lower ranked team, you should get lesser points. As of now, they're all on the same table.
See, that's the thing. Especially in football, it's a 3-point system.
Yeah.
You climb your rankings. It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
If tomorrow a Wigan Athletic beats Manchester City, damn, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
And then you'll jump in the rankings.
Yeah.
But the thing is that in MMA, you still, if tomorrow like, for example, if Nick Diaz, when he beat Conor McGregor, Conor McGregor was number 1 at that time. Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
When Nate beat Conor, he didn't jump to number 1 contendership position.
Correct.
He didn't.
Correct.
But by that logic, it should be. I mean, it's warrior culture.
Yeah.
You beat the best, you get to be the best then.
Right.
After that.
Right.
Automatically. But at the same time, it's a very skewed system. And the biggest question, Somesh, is who the F decides this? There are never any names of the guys. There's no agency specifically. There's no name given because I wouldn't be the guy who's like, okay, by the way, XYZ Sharma he decides the ranking system. Usko to patthar lagenge kal.
Well, speaking of rankings, it was quite funny that Khabib didn't move from that number 1 spot even after calling his retirement for almost a month. He was not taken off the rankings because technically Dana was still negotiating with him.
Yeah, exactly. He was just hoping. He's still hoping. He's still hoping. I'm telling you, I shall make a sweeping declaration. If Islam Makhachev loses, I don't mind. Especially if Islam loses to somebody like, say, Tony Ferguson by some fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Khabib is coming back for Tony.
God.
It's a good point that you made that we spoke about, even with John Jones.
Yeah.
John Jones, ideally, in my mind, has never lost. He's unbeaten.
Yeah.
And he lost to Matt Hamill via disqualification, if you can call that a loss.
Correct.
But in my mind, even though he's not fought, he should be at number 1. in the pound for pound rankings.
Well, he's still within the contract. He's still in the testing pool. He gets tested by USADA. I personally feel he's still an active fighter. If you're an active fighter, you cannot be taken off the rankings like that.
Exactly. And I think he should be able to maintain his position. I think it's still, does it say John Jones is still number one? I mean, it absolutely should, because he's still an active fighter. I mean, he's not fought for 2 years, but it's something that needs to be done. But it's the problem I'm trying to say here is that it's very, aage piche. There's no structure to it. Structure to it.
Honestly, I personally begin to believe it depends on the matchmakers as to who they want to match who versus. And there's also a business angle to it. Like, as you rightly said, like Jorge Masvidal, the Diaz brothers, these are all crowd pullers. So you need to justify that why is a Diaz facing a McGregor when the rankings are all over the place. But man, it's entertainment at the end of the day. There's also gate sales. True. People have to buy pay-per-views. They have to see the event. It also comes down to excitement. So yes, rankings are very, very important. But honestly, I don't know exactly how the rankings in MMA work.
Like for example, I would be more like, okay, just a personal choice, but the thing is that I'm giving a bad example. As a hardcore fan, I would love to see a Kamaru Usman versus a Gilbert Burns again. As a hardcore fan. But as a casual fan, I can understand what a regular fan who's not as, we're analysts at the end of the day. We work in this sport. We work with Sony. We work, do the Ultimate Guide to UFC. And I can understand regular people, regular fans of the sport saying that, chal, nahi, Masvidal ka fight kab hai? When is Nate Diaz fighting? When is XYZ fighting? When are the heavies fighting? When is Derek Lewis fighting? I understand that logic. And Dana, luckily, that's the plus and minus of the ranking system, where the boss of the company can choose and do what he wants. He can give a number 15 ranked guy the title shot tomorrow if he chooses.
Well, we are in fact seeing that because there's a clear contender in the heavyweight division, but we suddenly see an interim belt that is put out there.
Oh, and that's funny that you say that, because Stipe has started responding to One Fighting Championship on
Yes,
tweets.
He has. Yes,
and he's saying that he's like, and I can understand his him being pissed off, because he is still in my eyes the number one contender. There's nobody else there. He's just lost to the champ, and that too, he won the first one against Francis. He lost the second one to Francis. There should be a third, technically.
Absolutely yes. Because he beat Francis the first time over. He beat Francis. The second time he lost versus him. And honestly, I think DC has got immediate rematches. But it's so sad that Stipe has not got that.
Exactly. DC got immediate. They didn't even think about it. The Stipe trilogy, if we spent 2.5 years just doing that.
Correct.
Literally. Correct. But chalo, theek hai. It's maybe, it's the manner in which, hang on, sorry. DC got knocked out by Stipe in the second fight.
He did.
Yeah. Same thing happened to Stipe. Stipe got knocked out by Francis. So, that's where the logic, where the logic of the ranking system works. Theek hai. I think in a private organization, I get it. The boss can decide what the rankings are. But if you remember, like, in the MMA verse, when you count organizations like Strikeforce, WEC, Pride, I'm talking about a good 10 years ago when we used to start ranking. We pulled in ranking from other organizations as well in the overall pound for pound.
Yes.
Like say the greatest middle, 10 years ago, the greatest middleweight was Anderson the Spider Silva. Mm-hmm. And was the pound for pound greatest in the world also. One of the best lightweights in the world. I would say now here's where my problem comes in. And there are no rights or wrongs in this. And whoever's listening, guys, if you disagree with us, please feel free to or contribute to this conversation. Please feel free to contact us on social media. In the lightweight division, I would still say that today BJ Penn is a top 5.
Yes, absolutely.
I would still say, based on pure skill set.
Absolutely, yes. I couldn't disagree on that.
Yeah, and BJ is always a threat. Power in his hands, unreal jiu-jitsu, and great fight IQ.
Man, if there ever was a prime BJ Penn versus a Khabib, I think it would have been a dream matchup.
Oh my God. And I would have one second. Prime BJ Penn versus Khabib.
You never know.
BJ Penn with his great boxing and his insane BJJ. There was a time where a 185 pound GSP struggle to take down BJ Penn against the cage.
Absolutely. And also BJ Penn has fought in so many weight categories, so he can fluctuate his weight very easily. Whereas Khabib has only fought in the lightweight division.
And had trouble to make lightweight for the longest time.
Correct.
He has missed weight like a bunch of times.
Correct.
BJ was chilling, fought Machida at 220. That's ridiculous.
If I'm not mistaken, I think BJ Penn has also fought Wanderlei Silva. I think BJ Penn has also fought in the heavyweight division. Huh?
Yeah, that's how he fought Machida at heavyweight.
Yeah.
in jungle fights. And I was like, what is BJ Penn doing here? And he was still holding his own. He's cool.
Those are real fighters. In fact, UFC 266 has the return. I mean, it's the rematch, the longest rematch that has ever come into action. Dude, Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler happened in 2004.
Dude.
And there's a stat, where Khabib was 9 or 12 years old?
12 years old.
He was 9 or 12 years old.
Can you imagine? Khabib did not even start his career when Nick Diaz was fighting, and
he didn't even start training.
Nick Diaz was fighting. He didn't even
start training. Probably
he was wrestling bears at 9.
He possibly wasn't even training professionally when these two guys fought professionally, and now Khabib is retired, and there's a rematch between Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. The first match 2004, the second one 2021.
I don't even care. I don't even care about the other cards. I can't wait for this one.
I'm beginning to believe that Pride was the deal to be, and UFC just may be going that route.
I hope so, man. All they're going to do is start bringing cards in, and we'll have some fun. The red cards and the yellow cards. But as we've always said, Somesh, this is a never-ending discussion that needs to continue over social media and in any other form possible. So guys, we're reiterating ourselves. Come talk to us. Join the conversation. We're going to host an AMA soon. So stay tuned for that. But ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. We will be right back after a couple of messages. Stay tuned. You're watching Mystic Chips and the Superhuman Kamra only on the Fighting G.O.A.T, hosted on exclusively the network to listen to podcasts, IVMPodcasts.com. Stay tuned.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood,
Get accustomed to womanhood.
enjoy the experience of sisterhood,
Might get to wifehood
or not, choose motherhood,
or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
earn a livelihood,
Change the neighborhood.
and get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Natasha,
And me, Ayushi,
on a journey from station starting point.
to station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station. And hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fighting G.O.A.T. And this episode, we spoke exclusively about rankings and positions. But yes, it's just the views of the hosts, which is Mystic Chips and Superhuman Kamra. But we would love to hear from you. Please tag us, hashtag us, and also use the hashtag rankings in MMA and speak to us directly. But now, this particular segment, we're going to be talking about a crazy ass fight that I've been looking forward to. Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. That is coming up in the week. And man, how crazy is this going to be?
Dude, it's going to be... Sean Strickland is one of those... I cannot be... Sorry, you guys must be sick of hearing the fact that we reiterate and say the same thing over and over again. Sean Strickland is cut from that old school cloth where he doesn't give a crap. He's going to come and scrap. He's a British fighter. Michael Bisping loves him. I know for a fact why he loves him too, because he brings the heat no matter what. But will that work against a technical striker like Uriah Hall?
That's a very, very good question. But the good part is that Sean Strickland started his career training with Matt Lindland, Dan Henderson, and he's still with them. He had a 2.5 year layoff. He came back in a banger of a fight, versus Jotko, Brendan Allen, Jack Marshman. And this dude has come back from a crazy accident, came back, put on a performance of a lifetime. And he's just 30 years old. He's not even an old guy. He's just 30 years old. He's got 23 wins, 3 losses, and he's putting on clinics.
No, by 30, I think Nogueira had about 180 fights done, right? By Nogueira.
Yeah,
And all these
yeah.
guys were... Wanderlei Silva was
Per
like
year,
the 300
per
fights
year.
mark. Per year.
Yeah.
300 fights per year. I think every time, Wanderlei just walked around with the referees everywhere he went. Kya bola mera naam? Bola, chal. Start. It's a pro fight. I don't give a f***. Paise gaya baare mein. But it's training with somebody like Dan Henderson is... Firstly, if you don't know who Dan Henderson is, go, really just get out of the sport.
Yeah.
Like, don't even listen to us times.
Yeah.
Dan Henderson, man. I mean, his name doesn't come up anymore as much because he's a mega legend. But
Yeah.
Sean Strickland, if he's training with somebody like Dan Henderson, expect fireworks and expect him to go for it.
Absolutely. In fact, Uriah Hall's last fight was versus Chris Weidman, where he broke his leg.
That was just
but
horrible.
at the same time, he came out absolutely fresh because it was the first fighter ever in the UFC to win a fight without even throwing one strike. However, he's coming back to face an extremely elusive, tough mofo in Sean Strickland. But this card also sees...
Who are you rooting for?
Oh, man.
Tell me. And Dil ke andar, chalo.
Dil ke andar, I'm going to go for Sean Strickland.
The thing is that it's so hard to root. I love Sean Strickland. I want to root for him. But thing is that after Uriah Hall faced Anderson Silva held him and said, "You are going to be the future, my son," kind of thing. So I started weeping. I started crying automatically because I always envision myself in that position where Anderson Silva will say that to me. One day, maybe, ek din, he will hold on to me and say, "Good luck, my son," or some shit like that.
No.
So I think, but I think
luck, my
Uriah
son.
Hall is... It's a big fight. UFC #1. Arjun, you are my son. Obrigado, muito bem. Fala bem. Hey, don't make fun of Anderson. Only I can do the accent, okay?
Well, yeah, it's a great card because it also has smiling Sam Alvey, who's on it.
Oh my God.
Chris
I
Dakaus
love this guy.
is facing Shamil Abdurakhimov. And Rani Yaya is back. So it is a very good card. We can't rule it out.
It is a very good card, but I am only betting on one fight, boss, and that is Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland.
Oh man, that's going to be a banger.
So who do you got? Final. Tell me.
Final. Okay, you know what? The crystal ball's out. Everything's out. Like my mind is sorted in this one. I'm going to still go for Sean Strickland. I think he's going to be my pick, primarily because I think he has come back way more motivated after a 2.5 year layoff because of his accident. He is way more motivated at the moment.
Okay, you're saying Sean Strickland. In my heart, I want to say Sean Strickland, but my mind knows that Uriah Hall has been now touched by the hand of God. And hand of God equals Anderson Silva.
You can't play this card, Chips. Come on, because
I am playing this card.
No, because because if you win or lose, you anyways win. Because you'll say, yeah, but my mind said this or my heart said this, so I anyways win. Mind and heart have to choose one.
Okay, mind and heart, Uriah Hall.
Okay, great. So Team Chips is for Uriah Hall. Superhuman Kamra is on Sean Strickland. And if you want to make your picks, you need to hashtag and tag us on social media, which is Twitter, Instagram. You can tag me on somesh.kamra on Instagram and somesh_kamra on Twitter. You can tag Chips on his IDs. Chips, go for it.
So my ID on Twitter has changed. It now officially says The Mystic Chips.
Oh.
It's on Twitter, it's at The Mystic Chips. And on Instagram, it's still Arjun_Chipalkatti.
That is beautiful. So guys, what are you waiting for? This is your chance to win some exciting prizes. We're giving away 5 Fighting Goat fridge magnets to random winners. So you need to hashtag us, tag IVM Podcasts on all social media platforms. And we look forward on interacting with you.
Absolutely. Whatever you want to share, whatever you want to say to us, you want to argue with us, you want to talk to us, you want to send me nice messages, or you want to send me a drink, beers, whatever you want, I'll send my address. Because with Living Liquid, sab ghar pe bhejna hai. But for that to happen, you need to get in touch with us on social media, and that's the only way to do it. Tag hashtag IVM Podcasts. Go to ivmpodcast.com for more such content and log on to and check out The Fighting Goat on Spotify. We've got a lot of episodes out there. Here are episodes and join in the fight. That being said, we've had an amazing episode. Thank you for tuning in to me, Mystic Chips, and my partner, Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. and catch us again next week with perhaps a special guest. Don't go anywhere. You've been listening to The Fighting G.O.A.T only on IVMPodcasts.com. Sayonara.
Come learn and experience the ABCDs of being queer with me, Shunetro,
and me, Farhad,
on our show Gay BCD.
The two of us take you through our stories and experiences of being gay men in the city of Mumbai and have candid
and sometimes downright scandalous
conversations about sexuality, gay culture, and everything in between.
Catch new episodes of Gay BCD every Tuesday on the IVM Podcasts website, app, or wherever you get all your podcasts from.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.